The beauty of nature can be calming to the soul, but there's times it's mystifying. The redwoods that we saw along Highway 101 on California's Lost Coast are awe-inspiring, but the trees of mystery might be the biggest collection of freakish trees that we've seen. The tourist attraction is a mountainside forest containing trees that have grown in freakish manner, a trail of wood carvings featuring mythological characters, a sky ride, an Indian museum, and a large gift shop. The star attraction is 49-foot, 2-inch tall Paul Bunyan and his 35-foot tall companion, Babe the Blue Ox. Not only are the trees big here, but so are the people. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of visitors have posed for photos next to Paul's giant shoe, including my own 4 children in 1993. Paul weighs 30,000 pounds. Babe is 35 feet tall, yet weighs the same amount.
We found Bigfoot.
You finally found Bigfoot?
Yeah. It's got blue eyes and really pointy knees.
It does have blue eyes, huh? Let me get a picture. The character of Paul Bunyan is a product of tall tales first spun by French Canadians in 1837 about a tall lumberman. In 1906, the invented character made its way into published works, and soon other authors published tales that grew outrageous as time went on. Eventually, the legendary Paul Bunyan grew into an 8-foot-tall, 300-pound giant. 10 years later, Paul was featured in an ad campaign for Red River Lumber Company, which suggested the legend and his blue oxen were big enough to stride across the Mississippi and strong enough to dig a ditch that we know today as the Grand Canyon. In time, the yarns became more far-fetched, with Paul's footprints responsible for Minnesota's 10,000 lakes, while he and Babe wandered blindly in a blizzard.
If I chop you down with the axe. That was necessary, wasn't it?
He's anatomically correct.
Not really.
You like the eagle?
Yeah, the eagle. There's a bunch of this stuff inside, isn't there?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been there. Of course, the first thing that we wanted to do is check out the gift shop.
I don't have another quarter. I've gone Sasquatching. I've been called a Sasquatch because of how tall I am.
That was sad.
Why?
That's
Hide and
not.
seek champion.
That's not something nice to say to women.
To women? It was said to me. I don't know how many other women have been called a Sasquatch.
Well, as a kid, I loved Smokey the Bear.
And you could be Smokey. Oh, that tickles. Got it? Because I'm done.
Am I too old to be a junior ranger? I pushed aside the souvenirs to focus on a display case that featured historical photos of the family that started the Trees of Mystery attraction in 1931. It was started as a natural history theme park by Paul Bruno at a time when the region near Klamath didn't offer much other than logging. When rustic Highway 101 was improved as a WPA highway project, more tourists flocked to the Lost Coast, so named because of the isolation and out-of-the-way distance from populated areas. Thus, some kind of attraction was needed. What started as a fishing camp evolved into an attraction named the Wonderland Redwood Park and later the Kingdom of Trees. Carl Lewin, who was Bruno's business partner, eventually bought the site and rebranded the attraction as the Trees of Mystery. After returning from service in World War II, Ray Thompson bought the property in 1946 and moved his family from San Francisco to run the Trees of Mystery. They built the first giant Paul Bunyan statue out of papier-mâché, but the damp forest, winter, and rains caused him to fall apart. A new Paul Bunyan came along in 1947 as a towering 24-foot-tall model made of wood framing and concrete. Babe the Blue Ox was added 4 years later. By 1959, a third-generation Bunyan, who was twice as large, appeared in time for the traffic headed to the 1962 Seattle World's Fair. For a time, he survived the weather, but in 2007, winter storms took off Babe's head. It was repaired in time for the summer season. The two were originally separated by the gift shop, as evidenced by these early postcards where Babe is on the left and Paul is on the right. Back in the 1940s, visitors entered the attraction through a hollowed-out fallen log, as seen here. Here is the octopus tree. These are the trees you have seen at Ripley's, believe it or not. People even know what that is today. And here's the elephant tree. I remember this. I may have visited the Trees of Mystery as a child, but I don't have any memory of it. But I do remember two other prior visits. I was 14 when I visited in 1975 with my grandparents. I returned in 1993 as a family man with 4 children. On that trip, I remember the Cathedral Grove, which is a clump of towering redwoods growing in a semicircle where weddings take place. I recall a song faintly playing from a speaker nestled somewhere in the damp base of the trunks. All I recall is that it was a man singing about trees. Since a sign indicated that this was a popular wedding location, we suggested that our 5-year-old daughter, Jennifer, might someday get married at this spot, to which she sheepishly grinned. As I approached the trees, this time 30 years later, I heard that same familiar crooning. It was the haunting ballad of Nelson Eddy singing to Albert Joyce Comer's poem Trees, as if time had been frozen.
A poem lovely as a tree.
It looks like you got your saw stuck there.
Yeah.
They come back in.
A new attraction was added in 2001, which was the Sky Trail, where cables suspend 8 gondolas carrying passengers high into the trees. Because the area was last logged in 1951, the trees are tall but relatively new.
Trails down below. Oh goodness.
Hi.
I'm sweaty.
Yeah, it looks
Oh no, please don't stop. What? Oh, why are we stopping?
911, what's your emergency?
We're stuck in the Sky Trail. How are you gonna get us out of here? It's moving very, very slowly.
It could be hours, ma'am. This is a time you feel totally helpless because you're stuck 50, 60 feet in the air and it stopped.
I'm not afraid of heights when I have control of what's going on. But when I'm hanging by a wire
Yeah.
and we're literally hundreds of feet in the air.
Well, we made it to the top.
There's more observation deck up here.
At the summit, we disembarked and walked to an observation platform where a view to the west provided a glimpse of the Pacific Ocean, and to the east, where Bigfoot is roaming to this day. Just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah. I went in 10 right out of high school, did like 8 years. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Yeah.
It's a better view going down than up. Although you only see the droplets on the window, and it's pretty
I feel like an eagle. High above the trees.
suspended by
A thin wire. It's a cable, actually. But check it out up here. Along the trail of tall tales, 50 chainsaw wood carvings present folk legends, mostly from Paul Bunyan lore. Some characters are familiar, while others are the invention of trees of mystery. Here is the pooped logger. I mean, he's had a hard day of work and he's done. He's pooped. Here we are with Choker Charlie, Time Tony, Short Haul Hanson, and Bull of the Woods. So I confess that I have not read Paul Bunyan. I don't know the whole story. So maybe when I get back home, I'll buy the book and check it out and see what that story's all about. It looks like our visit is drawing to a close with this cross-section of an ancient redwood. This shows the age of this tree.